Brock Lesnar is back. And whether you like it or not, it seems like he and Oba Femi are back on a collision course for at least one more match. This could be built all the way to SummerSlam, I guess, but that's quite a ways away. I think this could be set for Clash in Italy or before, maybe in Saudi Arabia. But there is no question that this is happening. And it's upset a lot of people. A lot of people are angry at WWE for discounting what Oba Femi did at WrestleMania and that it means nothing. Now, I'm actually going to take the rare position of defending TKO on this decision, on creative, because TKO said they are responsible for creative, which puts Triple H in a weird position. I guess he'll take the blame when things go bad and the TKO will take all the praise they get. I don't know. This is a very bizarre situation, but whoever made this decision, I got to give them praise for it. I know a lot of people are talking about how this discredits and devalues Oba Femi's win. I'm actually going to defend and make the case for why this is actually a really good thing for Brock, for Oba Femi, and the company, despite the criticism that this has totally devalued what Oba Femi did at WrestleMania. So before we do that, I want to give you guys an opportunity to go ad-free. Those ads you heard at the beginning of the show and you'll hear throughout the show can disappear just like magic. They can disappear, and you can do that at patreon.com/WWE podcast, or you can just go to Spotify. There's an ad-free feed there too. So giving you an opportunity if you'd like to join us and go ad-free. So why the hell am I defending this position when many people have said, my God, this is really hurting Oba Femi. What happened at WrestleMania now means less. Well, let me ask you this. First of all, this is not the first time that WWE has put forth a fake retirement. Do you remember Mark Henry? I know that was a long time ago, the salmon suit promo. Remember that? That ended up being a great run for Mark Henry. And he ended up attacking John Cena and chasing the world championship. Remember that? Yeah, great moment. And he attacked John Cena, one of the biggest names of all time. This is not the first time that somebody has feigned a retirement. And we don't even know the story behind it. There was never an official announcement. They were coy from the beginning. Many have suspected that he will eventually come back to face Gunther, but it looks like they're going to do more than that. I still hope it's Gunther at SummerSlam. I want him to move on from Oba Femi. But now we have confirmation he'll be here at least through SummerSlam. He's not going to retire on some random B-level PLE. It ain't happening. But can they push it to SummerSlam with Oba Femi? That's a bit of a stretch. That's 3 more months. I doubt it. I don't want that either. So I think this will be wrapped up in a month. Now, how can I defend this? Pretty easy. Not just because it's been done before. Put that aside. Pretend that never happened. Pretend this is the first time ever that WWE has led you to believe someone's retired and when they're not. Which, by the way, Undertaker has done that a zillion times at WrestleMania, where we have suspected he's done. He left his boots and gloves in the ring, and he actually wasn't done. Okay? So Undertaker did that on a regular basis for about a decade at WrestleMania, making us believe it could be the end. It could be the end. He symbolically leaves his gloves at one point. Yeah. So putting all that aside, I don't even need that for this argument. That's just bonus material. Oba Femi's still young talent. Oba Femi's still green. He's got a great fan support and consistently supportive base. That's important. And I do think he'll be a big star. He's a big star right now. But where they want to put him and where they want to get him, how can it hurt him to face Brock Lesnar again? It doesn't devalue what he did at WrestleMania. First of all, Brock Lesnar's career was never on the line. That was never part of the gig. It wasn't even implied. No one was talking about that until the match ended and what we saw with Brock. So that wasn't a stipulation. That wasn't a goal that Oba Femi was trying to achieve, and then Brock Lesnar doubled back on it. No, that's just something that happened that none of us expected. And at that point, it wasn't even about Oba Femi. It was about Brock Lesnar and his career. We weren't going, oh my God, he's a bigger star, even bigger now that he, quote unquote, retired Brock. No. What we saw in that match was Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar going at it in an albeit short match. Hopefully they rectify that this time around. I wasn't actually a big fan of their match like many people were. I didn't love it. Didn't hate it, but it could have been much better. But what we saw is putting Oba Femi on the map, making a name for himself at Brock Lesnar's expense, beating Brock Lesnar with one finish, not multiple, dominantly winning, decisively winning. That's what we remember. And whether or not Brock Lesnar retired does not affect how I think we view Oba Femi now. In fact, what we see now is, hey, these two can go at it. We've seen it. I want more. How can it hurt Oba Femi to work with one of the biggest stars in the world again? I would argue there's really no negative that can come from this outside of a stinker of a match, which I don't think either man is capable of. So now you're going to give them more of what they're capable of, which I hope is more of like a 10 to 12 minute match. And we'll see what happens. And I hope it's not just finish, kick out, finish, kick out. And they actually put a match together. But you get him, you get Oba Femi, who still, in comparison to Brock Lesnar, isn't even in the same universe of name brand recognition. He's not. I understand in your mind, because you're a wrestling fan, he's a huge star. Oh my God, Oba Femi, I can't wait. Go out to the general public and ask who Oba Femi is. They're going to look at you. They're going to say, who the fuck is Oba Femi? That's what they're going to say to you. I'm sorry. They're going to say, who? What are you talking about? You say the name Brock Lesnar. Most of the general public have at least heard it, if not know what he's done, or at least know what sport or sports he's been involved in. He's a household name. So when you put a guy that has that type of name, brand recognition, and value with a guy that is up and coming, it can't do anything but help. This is great for Oba Femi. And you know what? Great for Brock Lesnar. I'm glad they didn't just push Brock Lesnar out the door with one single move and have him ride off into the sunset. I actually did not enjoy. It wasn't satisfying to me. I could be in the minority on that. It's fine. I'm in the minority of a lot of things. But now Brock Lesnar gets a little bit of redemption. And he did what I was hoping he would have a night of doing on the road to WrestleMania, and that's just decimate Oba Femi. This is the first time we've seen Oba Femi decimated like this. Yes, it was an attack from behind. Who cares? It's Brock Lesnar being just Brock Lesnar, doing whatever he wants, as they say. But Oba Femi was laid out. It's the first time we've seen Oba Femi come against real struggle, real controversy, a real challenge on the main roster anyway. And it's nothing but positive if it's Brock Lesnar. I understand. I get the argument, but it doesn't hold any water when you get to see a guy like Brock once again get in the ring with someone that needs the help. And not that he's going to fail if he doesn't have Brock's help, but it can't do anything but help. When you're in this stage of your career, you're this early in your career, there's no such thing as too much momentum. And he's also working with a guy that not just beyond the name, brand value stuff, just knows what the hell he's doing in the ring. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. He's safe. He can work. And it gives WWE more mainstream attention. That's what they love. They love this. So I have zero issue with Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi. None. I don't want to hear it devalues his win at WrestleMania. It does not. It doesn't. You know how I know that? Take away the post-match stuff with Brock crying in the ring and everything else was the same. You wouldn't change anything about how you view Oba Femi. His win at WrestleMania will forever stand. and how he won. The 4 F5s that happened on Raw, I'm glad that Brock finally dominated him. My concern is, based on how Oba Femi was selling each F5, that we're going to get 6 F7, 8, 9 F5s at whenever they meet. Clash in Italy probably will be on that, whatever it is, the June PLE. I'm concerned that they're going to have to try to put Oba Femi down with possibly double-digit F5s. I don't want that. The F5 is a cherished finishing maneuver. It used to be a very protected finish, and it has since, of course, gone by the wayside like many others. But if Brock is going to be doing the favors once again for Oba Femi, I don't want Brock going down with one of Oba Femi's finishes either. So while we were supposed to be protected, and Oba Femi was supposed to be protected on Raw with the constant getting up from the F5s, he had to deliver 4. I don't want to see 5 kickouts of that. It just please. I understand that they're going to want to, but I don't need to see that. And yes, I saw Brock Lesnar split his pants. How does that happen? How does that happen? I know Brock is a big guy, freakishly strong. We know that. But how the hell does Brock Lesnar split his pants every other time he's out there? Maybe he needs to stop wearing jeans or get reinforced jeans. He's not going to, Old Navy. He's going to be buying decent quality jeans. And somehow he splits them. Do you know how hard it is to split a pair of good quality jeans the way he does? Do you know how much force you have to have behind that? Unless they're already really beat up and hanging on by a thread. I mean, I've split my pants, but they have been beat to hell already. How does Brock do this? And the way he covered it was actually pretty ingenious. He knew he split his pants. So after the 4th F5, of course, we see him sit down on his ass, and he knew it. And then he backs up the aisleway with the camera on him, knowing that, of course, people are going to watch his backside for his pants that split, which it's funny. I mean, just Jesus Christ, Brock. I mean, just wear something else. What you should do? Just don't wear pants at all. Don't wear your stretch pants, your jumpsuit pants, your jeans. Why don't you go back to wearing like your athletic shorts? You can't split those. Good God. All right. So let's get to Monday Night Raw, brought to you by, as always, Pro Wrestling Net. Credit to them for doing a great job of covering every week. So shout out as I'm using their material. I think a shout out is appropriate. So Roman Reigns emerges from a vehicle starting off Raw, and Jacob Fatu makes his entrance. There were some Fatu chants, and Jimmy and Jay made their entrance and joined Fatu inside the ring. Jimmy recalled Fatu talking about how he was willing to do anything to make life better for his wife and kids. And Jimmy said part of that was acknowledging Roman Reigns. Jay wound up with the chair, but Fatu cut him off with a punch. And Fatu then beat down Jay until Jimmy intervened. And then Jay slammed the chair over the back of Fatu, who no-sold it, because that's Fatu's whole thing. And then Fatu hit Jay, or put him in the Tongan death grip. And Roman Reigns comes out. And he gets OTC chants. This is, by the way, the 6th Raw that Roman Reigns has been in attendance for. We've seen Roman Reigns more in 6 weeks than in a 6-month period when he was champion. That may be a little bit exaggerated, but not by much. So we had Fatu apply the Tongan death grip on Reigns. Jay superkicked Fatu twice. He didn't release the hold, and then Jay speared Fatu. And Jimmy hit Fatu with the top rope splash, and the Usos hit 1D on Fatu. And then they tied Fatu's arms in the ropes, and Reigns hit Fatu with a Superman punch, and they had the Usos hit him with a double super kick. He hit him with another Superman punch, another double super kick, and then the Usos freed up the ropes, freed him, and then Roman Reigns speared him, and the fans were still chanting for OTC. Adam Pearce comes out, And Reigns told Pierce he would do whatever he wanted. He should do whatever he wanted with Fatu. And Fatu got a mic and called for tribal combat. And Pierce tried to tell Reigns no, but Reigns accepted the match as you'd expect. So Cole then assumed the match would be held at Clash in Italy and said there have only been 2 tribal combat matches. And Graves said anything goes and the loser must acknowledge the winner. Okay. So this is, as always, a rebranded no disqualification. It's a street fight. It's tribal combat. It's false count anywhere, although false count anywhere actually is a little bit more specific, but it implies also no DQ. Call it whatever you want. Brand it whatever you want. Miracle on 34th Street street fight. Whatever. It's all the same. The only wrinkle in this is that the loser must acknowledge the winner. That's it. Other than that, it's a no DQ match. And it's pretty much what we saw anyway with their last match. And I continue to say this. I have no issue with stars being built. I'm patient with stars being built. It's part of the business. This just feels a little too soon. And I'll continue to say the fans don't know what to do. You're putting the fans in a bizarre position. The fans love Roman. They were behind Fatu, but they're going to choose Roman if pressed. So what do? Well, I don't know. We put Roman in there again with Fatu. I'm not following what the hell is happening here. I still don't believe Fatu is going to come out as champion. If they do, that would be a shock. Now, every title defense that Roman has, farther and farther, the farther out you get from WrestleMania, will, of course, increase his chances of dropping the belt. But he's not going to lose it on his second title defense. He's not going to lose it, I don't think, until the end of this year, probably past summer. I mean, yes, past SummerSlam, I believe. But that's how I see it going. I don't see any world in which Fatu is champion. I've taken so many shots at him. I'll just say, I just don't think he's ready. He's not polished. And he's very much just kind of a one-dimensional character where he acts like an animal. And I mean that in several ways. He acts like just a wild animal. Some of it's complimentary, by the way. Some of it's not. And it just doesn't feel like the fans, I don't think the fans would accept him as champion. Especially if you try to push him as a babyface. I don't think the fans have any interest in that because you've muddied the waters here with Roman. I've said that before, so I'll move on here. I don't want to repeat myself, but let me know how you guys, what do you think? Do you think that Fatu is actually ready? How are you supporting him and Roman? Do you not care that this is it feels too much too soon? All right, let's continue. So we have Finn Balor and JD McDonough in a street fight. Again, don't be confusing that with the no disqualification or any other regular old no DQ match. A street fight is much different. And by much different, I mean it's not at all. So this match went 14 minutes and 15 seconds with Finn beating JD after the heels got the better of Balor. And Dom accidentally hits McDonough with a 619, which did not look that good. I mean, the timing wasn't great, but hey, it's a one-take live TV show. Balor put up a trash can over McDonough's head and hit him with a shotgun dropkick and the coup de grace for the victory. Fun match. It's what you expect with JD and Finn. These two have been, teammates for years now, and now they're foes, and they work just as well together. It's giving some nice exposure, I think, too, for JD McDonough, who has been the fourth wheel in the Judgment Day. He's, I think, slowly growing behind the scenes. He's not just the pushover guy that always is going to take the pinfall. He's starting to slowly gain some, do I dare say respect? I'm not sure what the word is. But value, maybe, in the eyes of fans without even knowing it. He's one of those sneaky stars that everyone overlooks JD and he's just kind of there. But don't be surprised if maybe at the end of this year, we're talking about JD as, I don't know, Intercontinental Champion. Something to think about. Okay. Backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Seth, who said he has no, I'll get it right, no allies. He's a marked man, but he has to put an end to the vision. Rollins said he hasn't had a match on Raw in about 9 months and said that should change tonight. And Rollins said Adam Pearce gave him the main event, and he issued a challenge to any or all of the Vision members to face him. And he told Kathy Kelly that he would like to see Bron Breakker accept the challenge. And he questioned whether Breakker is a Nepo baby who can't hack it, an athlete who turns into a wad of wasted potential, or everything Breakker claims to be. All right, so continuing with the Bron Breakker Seth Rollins program, I like that. I think that makes perfect sense. They haven't really concluded much of anything, albeit Breakker did beat Seth at Backlash. They haven't, I think, had a full-fledged, fleshed-out program yet, and it was obviously interrupted by the injury with Seth. Now that he's back, you can have a couple of matches here, and we're getting the second iteration of it. And we'll get to that in a minute. But backstage, Byron Saxton interviews Sol Ruca, who said she's stoked that she's had a chance to face some of the best women in the business. Becky Lynch interrupts her and said that Ruca hasn't faced the best. And she said Ruca's 0-2 and she should go back to NXT. And Lynch started talking about how young people today give up so easily, and Lynch acted surprised when she heard Ruca's theme song. Ruca was shown making her entrance, got the mic, and said there was no point in doing this backstage. And Ruca told Lynch to come out and face her like the man she claims to be. Then we get Becky Lynch coming out, and Ruca said, she's good at proving people wrong. So Ruca called for Lynch to face her on the spot, and the crowd gets worked up predictably, and Lynch says no, and said she would love nothing more than to perform for the people of Greensboro because they could use some excitement in their lives, and said that if Ruca's ready, she would face her at Saturday night's main event. And Lynch told Ruca to remember she's not just a star maker, she's a star breaker. I really like that line. It's a nice line. I don't know where she came up with it, ChatGPT, wherever. It's good. And then we had Ruca said she saw what Lynch was trying to do, and she wasn't falling for it. She said she would snatch Lynch's soul again, and this time she'll snatch her title. Lynch then was yelling at Ruca, and that was it. So good. I think this will be a nice bounce back for Ruca, who I think does need more screen time and needs to kind of erase the terrible botch from a week or two ago with the soul snatching finish that looked horrific, that made its rounds on social media. So she needs to do that and just get her name out there. Again, star building business. That's what this is about. Sol Ruca is seemingly a star in the making. Can't help, or you can't hurt, I should say, Sol Ruca by putting her in the ring with Becky Lynch. Even if you and I are bored of Becky Lynch, and she's kind of done everything there is to do, I have to admit that. Fantastic career, legendary career for the women anyway, for the standards of how women have been judged and the standards that women have been held to and everything else, and the accomplishments of Becky Lynch are second to none. I mean, she's done everything. I really don't know. This is just, of course, a side detour here, but I don't know what there is for Becky Lynch to do anymore. I mean, she's gone from face to heel to face, and she's tried different things, and I don't even know what to do with her anymore. Like, it feels like she's just kind of, I'm bored by her. And I don't mean that in the normal way of just like, oh my God, I want her off my screen, she's just the worst. No, like, it just feels like they have gotten everything they can get out of her. And that's a great thing. Barring some fantastical change in her character that we all buy, which I don't think is going to happen, we've seen everything I think Becky Lynch has to offer. And she has said and gone on record saying this is her final contract. And that means this is it for Becky Lynch if she's staying true to her word. And that's a credit to her. I mean, Becky Lynch hasn't hung up the boots yet, but every time I see her and she's talking, I just look at her and I go, what is there left for you to do? You've won everything there is to win. You've main evented WrestleMania. You had one of the best babyface runs of all time, not just for the women, but in general. What more is there for you to do? You've done everything. So that's how I feel about Becky. I'm only bored by her in actually one of the more satisfying ways that you can be bored by somebody. In really impressive ways you can be bored by somebody because there's nothing left for them to do. I've never tried to say someone's boring in a complimentary way, but this is how I'm doing it. I'm bored by her because she's done everything. I feel like that could be turned into some kind of slogan or t-shirt or something, but yeah. So anyway, so we're going to get Sol Ruca and Becky Lynch at Saturday night's main event. All right. Second match of the night. El Grande Americano, Bravo and Rayo taking on the original Grande Americano, Bluto and Julio in a tag team tornado rules match. The match goes 11 minutes with the El Grande, Bravo and Rayo team winning. And fine. As you can tell by this is the bored, but not in a good way. This has long outlived its gimmick. Long. This is a gimmick that I understand Chad Gable is talented as hell. It was a fun run. It was as successful as it could have been. I don't think it meant to be this successful. It happened by accident. I don't need to say. I don't understand. Ludwig Kaiser. It's given him work. That's great. But if you even listen to the crowd on Monday night, they're just sitting there going, who cares? I'm finding myself very disinterested in this program, and I have been for some time. It was a fun little sideshow for a while, but I'm done. There's no life in this character or characters anymore. I would just bring back Chad Gable. Bring him back. And when they do, you could just have him say, I know he's been on and off TV a little bit, but you could just say that, when people ask, where have you been? And he could just say, I've been on vacation or I've been training. Add a little comedy to it. Pretend that Chad has no idea about Grande Americano and that he has, in his mind, he's actually been somewhere else. I mean, you could do something with that. But the El Grande Americano thing, for me anyway, it's past its expiration for me. Despite the fact that they're all very talented in the ring, their characters have just been, I mean, you've gotten everything out of them as well. But again, not unlike Becky Lynch, this is truly, I'm bored. Can we move on? This was a gimmick we weren't supposed to take seriously to begin with. And despite the fact that they can put on good matches, people don't care about the characters. So if you don't care about the characters, you're not going to give a damn who wins or loses. Time to move on. All right. So we then have, where are we? Oh, Cole announced Reigns and Fatu in a tribal combat match for the World Championship at Clash in Italy, which again comes to us in a week-ish, week and a half. And Kathy Kelly interviews Jimmy and Jay backstage, and Jay said he knows about tribal combat because he's been in it. LA Knight shows up. Yes, he still works here. As Cole said that the rumors about his demise have been greatly exaggerated. I think he was referring to Brock during that segment. Anyway, Knight shook his head at the Usos, and Jimmy told him not now. Knight went off on them about doing the same thing the Vision did during their feud. You do dirt, you get dirt. And Jimmy told him not now, and they left with Jay. So LA Knight's back. I think he was put in there to just kind of maybe quiet the fans that were concerned about his demise, that he was being fired, whatever the case. Yes, LA Knight's involved in here, but he's involved in the main event, but he's never, how do I put this? He gets involved in the main event, but he never is the main event, if that makes any kind of sense. He's in the conversation, but never a serious contender. He never seems to time it up right. He doesn't seem to have the people backstage that are in his corner, clearly, with Triple H famously saying that he doesn't even know why he doesn't like LA Knight. He forgets why he doesn't. Yes, LA Knight has had some very slippery rope moments. I mean, he just can't help but fall down, which is kind of hilarious. But LA Knight never is the main event. He's just kind of flirting with it. That's been his entire run since the fans got behind him a few years ago. So at least he had some kind of on-air time last night, which is encouraging if you're looking for any signs of life. Okay, so sit-down interview with Ethan Page, along with an earlier today graphic, and Ethan Page handed Cole a card with questions he had written for him, and Cole read lines about Page's jawline and how he wants to rename the Intercontinental title to the Ethan Page Championship, and Cole said he couldn't do it anymore and asked Page why he acts like this. Cole said Page has the looks, charisma, and athletic ability, but he thinks his ego will cost him the title on Saturday, and Page said he would be the first man to put fear in Penta's vocabulary and he'll leave the ring with the title. Pro Wrestling Net said, always fun to read their analysis, Page was an arrogant D-bag during this interview segment. In other words, Page was terrific because it's exactly what he was going for. Which is true. Yeah. It's what he wanted, is what he got. Page and Brie Bella take on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez for the Women's Tag Team Championships. The match, 10 minutes and 15 seconds with Page and Brie retaining. The finish was Brie going to the ropes to shove and was shoved by Morgan. Of course, she shut up. And the referee spotted it and ejected Morgan. And as Morgan protested, Perez tried to hit Brie with the title belt, but she ducked and rolled up Perez for the victory. And that was that. Now, something occurred to me during this match that I've always been very puzzled by. This is not a referendum or criticism on the match itself, but I thought it was fine. Why is it that now some people don't listen to the referees at all, especially even the people who are in the match that could be disqualified by the referee? How is it that when a referee tells somebody who's not in the match at all that they must leave, why is that the one thing, one directive by the referee that people will listen to, even if you're not even in the match? Has anyone ever faced the consequence of not listening to the referee when they tell them to go to the back and they're banned? What exactly is the price to pay there? A fine? Termination? What is the consequence? There must be some unspoken death sentence that you're given if you don't listen to the referee there. It's always just been funny to me. I understand we all just look at it as official. Oh my God, that they must obey. They must obey by having the referee tell them to go to the back. Like, why? They're not a contender. What are you going to do? I'm not in the match. You can't disqualify me. What are you going to do? I know that this won't ever be challenged because it's just something we all accept. It's one of those things that pro wrestling provides us that we all don't think about twice about and go, yeah, well, she told him to go to her or him to go to the back. I guess they just have to do it. You know what I'm thinking? Nope, she got ejected. Okay. Well, that's what you want me to do. I'm not going to do it. How about this? How about this Charles Robinson or whoever? No, I'm going to stand right here. And what are you going to do? Bring out security? Okay, bring out security. Distract yourself from doing your job in the ring. And I know it sounds silly, but I bet you some of you haven't thought about that. Interesting. Okay. Sidetracks or side tangents will be paused there. So after the match, though, with this women's tag team title match, Morgan returned, attacked the champions as they were celebrating. That's when Bayley and Lyra came out and beat up the Judgment Day members, and Paige and Brie held up their titles at ringside. So fine match. And it wouldn't be a Monday Night Raw without the women's tag titles being defended. They are defended more than any other championship, I think, on the entire roster. All right. LA Knight approached Seth in the parking lot, and Rollins asked if they were going to do this now. And Knight said Rollins would have a match and might even win, but he'd be stomped out. Knight made it clear he's no fan of Rollins, but he told him that he's going to need help. Knight had his luggage with him and told Rollins good luck finding it. And so a potential temporary alliance maybe with LA Knight and Seth Rollins. Again, more evidence here that Knight could be put back into the main event picture, or at least semi-main, which is kind of where he's lived his entire career here. But Oba Femi is shown walking backstage, and we, of course, know what we got here with Oba Femi and the Brock Lesnar attack. I'm not going to go through it. That was my entire open of the show. But here is what Pro Wrestling Net's point of view was. This is what they said. Brock Lesnar or Johnny Fairplay. Hey, it's a common mistake in Johnny's mind only. All kidding aside, this was a hot angle. I never bought into the idea that Lesnar was finished at WrestleMania, but I did think he would only return for a retirement match at SummerSlam in Minneapolis. Obviously, he's back for more than just SummerSlam. And yes, yeah. And yeah, that's a great point too about the fact that SummerSlam is in his hometown. I know he doesn't reside in Minneapolis anymore. I don't know who would, to be honest with you. Side note. But that said, this was an unexpected attack for all the reasons I mentioned 20 minutes ago. I think it's a good thing, great thing, especially for Oba Femi. And Adam Pearce was then shown walking through a hallway where he found Paul Heyman. And Pearce asked what the hell he watched, what the hell he just watched. And Heyman said he heard Pearce was looking for him. And Pearce said he filed Lesnar's retirement work on behalf of him and asked what the hell happened out there. And Heyman said Lesnar is retired, and he pulled the contract out of his jacket. And Heyman said Lesnar's signature was on the contract, and if he could get Oba Femi to sign, he'd have the biggest rematch in history. So a smug Paul Heyman, doing what he does best. Street Profits were interviewed about challenging for the World Tag Titles on Saturday night's main event. They still want the smoke because that's all they've been asking for. Will someone just give them the smoke? There's got to be somebody out there who can just hand deliver the smoke they're looking for. So they stop asking for it. They've been asking for it for like 7 years. Can somebody please give it to them? Please. That'd be awesome. So Dawkins approached Seth, who was warming up for his match, and said they don't have to be friends or trust each other. Dawkins said he couldn't speak for Ford, but last week, good looking out. And Rollins said he had to focus because he had a match, and that's when he comes out. And we get Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins, in which Seth Rollins beats Austin Theory in 13 minutes because Austin Theory doesn't win anything. And the match was fine. But afterward, Logan attacked Rollins. Angelo Dawkins comes out to help. Logan and Theory got the better of him. Montez Ford comes out to help. He cleared the heels and dove over the ropes. And he came back in the ring and asked Dawkins why he was there. And Breakker comes in. And Ford shoved Dawkins out of the way and took a spear from Breakker. Rollins went after Breakker and put him down, and Rollins set up for a stomp, but Logan grabbed his foot, and Breakker spears Rollins. Breakker and his friends toss Rollins to the floor. They grab a piece of the ring steps. Adam Pearce comes out and with a bunch of referees and producers, and Breakker gave up the ring steps and tackles Rollins again. And then Cole said Rollins and the Street Profits need to get on the same page, or it was going to be a disaster. And the show concluded. Yeah, and I'll second this analysis here from Pro Wrestling Net. They said the main event didn't feel like a main event, but the involvement of Breakker, Logan, and the Profits helped. Brock Lesnar's return was the highlight of the night and one of the only major talking points coming out of the episode. True. Without Brock Lesnar, again, you add another side effect here. If you're TKO, put Brock aside and put Oba Femi aside. Star power draws money. No matter what entertainment platform you are on, star power draws money because it draws ratings. So I have no issue with this. TKO, I think, made the right call. I don't want to get into the lawsuit crap. That's not my concern. It's just not. I think this was a smart decision. It's got people talking. Raw has felt a little bit flat. No CM Punk. LA Knight showed his face again. Brock Lesnar showed up in F5. Oba Femi 4 times. We had a women's tag team title match. Like, I mean, without Brock and LA Knight and Seth Rollins, like, the show's kind of flat. Star power, star power, star power. Why do you think WrestleMania is one of the largest, most viewed wrestling shows of the year? Because it has an expectation of star power. Why do you think the fans that aren't really wrestling fans but want to come back for the biggest and best of the Attitude Era every year and hope they have some kind of appearance like The Rock or Austin? Because of star power. I can't emphasize that enough. So I don't fault TKO. It's one of the few times you'll hear me back their decision, because on principle, I generally disagree with a lot of what TKO has done. And as, what's his name? From New York. JP from New York, or whatever his name is. The one that constantly rants. He's bitches about wrestling more than I do. JD from New York. I don't know how I forgot him. Great podcaster, by the way. Great YouTube streamer. So shout out to him. Not that he cares, but I'll give it to him because he deserves it. But he said that TKO hates professional wrestling. They hate it. And I think they do. I think they're embarrassed by it. They're embarrassed by what at least the traditional presentation and concept of professional wrestling is. Because they're trying to mutate it into this unrecognizable blob of what they want entertainment to be. They hate professional wrestling. They don't care about its traditions, its history, its legacy. They have no respect for it. They've shown time and again they don't. They've desecrated the mat in ads. Can you imagine that happening just 20 years ago? Everything's about just making a dollar at any expense, and all expenses. No one is safe. The cuts they've made, the reported pay cuts they've asked people to take or they'll be fired. Now, again, we're hearing this from the outside. You know, the fact that they've said they're going to price for, maximizing ticket sales and not really maximizing for families. I mean, the list goes on. They have no respect for the traditional wrestling fan or just professional wrestling as a concept or industry. They've made that very abundantly clear that they have that is not even on their radar of priorities. So JD from NY is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And I actually have, I don't know if I want to play this here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll play a little bit of it. This is a clip. I'm going to pull it up here. It was on TikTok that I saw it. And this is actually Jim Cornette. And I got to be honest, Jim Cornette, I don't agree with him. Anything outside of wrestling, I pretty much don't agree with him on, which I say that a lot about a lot of guys like CM Punk and others. Jacob Fatu, I mean, you go down the list. But when it comes to pro wrestling, when it comes to what professional wrestling should be, I can't agree with him more than what I do here. And this actually was aired on Raw in 1997. Just as Austin was coming up, the Attitude Era had kind of begun. This is actually right as Mike Tyson was announced to be a part of WrestleMania 14 in Boston in the match between Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship. Just take a listen. And I don't know how long this is. I don't want to go too long, but this is what Jim Cornette said on Raw about pro wrestling. All right, let me see if I can put this up a little bit here. And this is some commentary from Jim and the King.
The Louisville Lip is back with another of Cornette's commentaries on the state of the wrestling industry.
Well, the WWF has asked me to do a commentary on the state of wrestling in 1998. I guess they figured Cornette's always good for a couple of laughs. Well, I'm not really going to be too funny tonight. Because, you see, I think the state of wrestling in 1998 stinks. I think WCW stinks. I think the NWO stinks. I think ECW is embarrassing. And I think the WWF stinks. And I'll tell you why. You don't have to go back any further than last week on Raw. You got a guy coming out dressed like a Christmas tree. You got a woman coming out dressed like a reindeer. You got two adolescent mullet heads showing their butt cheeks on national TV and having a phony match for a championship. I think it stinks. I think it's disgusting. I think nobody has any respect for wrestling anymore. Where is wrestling? Not sports entertainment, but wrestling. You know, just a couple of years ago, I left my home in Tennessee and I moved to Connecticut, which is like trading a Hawaiian vacation for a bed in a cancer ward, to come to work for the WWF full time, the biggest wrestling promotion in the history of the planet. And I moved to Connecticut with snow on the ground 7 months out of the year, real estate prices that would make Donald Trump's hair stand on end, the rudest bunch of people I've ever seen, where English is a second language and traffic jams at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I think that's okay because I'm with the biggest wrestling promotion of all time, the WWF. But over the last couple of years, I don't see any wrestling. They got some great wrestlers around here, but they don't have any time to wrestle because of all the falderall and the nonsense going on. You see, what the problem is the people running the two big promotions, one guy is a game show host wannabe from Minneapolis with phony teeth, phony hair, and a phony tan. And running the WWF, you got a whole office building full of Yankees from New York City that wouldn't know a wrestling match if it bit them. So they sit around all day listening to people on the internet, and the people on the internet wouldn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. I don't particularly care what some Yankee from New York City wants to see. I want to see wrestling matches with wrestlers. I want to see real old-fashioned wrestling. I want to see some people who have some respect for the traditions of the wrestling industry, have some respect for the sport of wrestling. I don't want to see sports entertainment and flying donkeys all around. I think it's garbage, I think it's insulting, and I think it's a shame to a fine sport like this. Down south where I come from, they know wrestling. They were brought up on it. They grew up on it, and they respect it. And I think it's about time that the promoters in the wrestling industry today recognize that wrestling fans watching a wrestling program want to see wrestlers wrestle. That's easy. It's not too hard to understand if you just think about it. But the problem is that nobody has any respect for tradition. Well, I got news for you. I got respect for tradition, and I've always been associated with real good old-fashioned wrestling, a sport of wrestling, not a circus sideshow, not a cartoon show. And if nobody else is going to bring some wrestling around here, then maybe it's going to be up to Jim Cornette. So that might be my New Year's resolution for 1998. I might bring some tradition, I might bring some real wrestling back and clear this whole mess out because I think it stinks. So there's my address, there's my opinion, there's my commentary. Do with it what you want.
All right. So, I mean, look, so he said 1998. This must have been right in New Year's, whatever. So end of 97, 98, early 98, right when things are about to really take off for WWE. Now, that was 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. And yet we are proposing the same arguments today. Not asking for black and white, television and just straight wrestling with no stories. No, right? But Jim Cornette, at its core here, his argument has a lot of weight because we are now dealing with the same issues here in what pro wrestling is compared to, of course, if you're an Attitude Era fan or even before that. If you compare what you saw then to now, you probably feel the same way as Jim did then about what wrestling used to be in the 70s and 80s. I understand that pro wrestling, quote, evolves. Everything evolves. Again, evolution in and of itself is not a positive. What things are evolving into can be then deciphered into good and bad, but the process of evolution in and of itself doesn't automatically mean good or bad because it depends what the evolution is, what the progress is, quote unquote. So I couldn't agree more with Jim Cornette. You would not know that was recorded in 1998 if you took some of the specifics out. If you just took his argument at its core, it's the same kind of stuff happening now. Same thing. And I can't believe that they aired that in 1998. I don't remember that. And I was watching back then. I don't remember it. Or if I did, I kind of brushed over it as, I don't get it. Yeah, okay, he's just mad. He wants real wrestling. Okay, whatever. I mean, I was 13, so, just like, hey, get me back to the Divas and Stone Cold drinking some beers, But this promo today, imagine this airing now, be perfect because it encapsulates still 30 years later, 3 decades later, some of the complaints that fans have. Now you could say, well, Pat McAfee tried that, and he did, but he did it in a way that it was unnecessary to involve himself in the main event of WrestleMania. But all right, I wanted to share that little beautiful nugget with you guys because it encapsulates how I and a lot of fans, I don't think I'm in the crazy thin minority, but I do believe I'm in a general minority on this topic. I know that things evolve, but what Jim Cornette was saying here is 100% right. Despite the fact that you could say, well, the Attitude Era was the most successful of all time. Yeah, it was. It was, but not because people were dressing up like Christmas trees and we had bathroom humor and all that crap, but because we had the most believable set of characters that represented the culture at the time. It was really a kind of a forward thinking, ahead of its time product. It was edgy at the time that TV was starting to become edgy. We had, of course, an all-star roster, which helped, but it wasn't because of the shenanigans. It wasn't because of the bathroom humor and the sexuality that wrestling was as successful as it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it was because mainly that we had, as I said, great stars, great storylines, deep angles. It was focused on the wrestling, not so much the outside bullshit. But I wanted to share that with you. I enjoyed the hell out of that when I forgot that even existed. All right, I'm out. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you can, or X, wrestling_audio, or you can follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/WWE podcast to get all of your content like this, 100% ad free. And we'll be back shortly with NXT review. Friday will be the mailbag. I've got a voicemail and some emails already piled up, including an email about somebody who says that they're done listening to me after years of trying. And I appreciate that. It's not going to be a roast of this person, but I will respond to that on Friday. And if you want to join them in the email portion, you can do that. mailbag@wwepodcast.com. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk in a few days, and take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.